I'm 23 years old. My dad has fat-shamed me my whole life. His words used to hurt me a lot as a kid and a teenage girl, and they never once encouraged me to lose weight. Ironically, they made me turn to food even more for comfort. I have a little sister. She's 10 years old. I don't live at home anymore, so I don't know if my dad has ever mentioned weight to her unless he was making a comment about me in front of her. I was visiting for a bit. I only regularly visit for my little sister. If it wasn't for her, I'd never go to that house ever again, Lil Mayo. And we were watching a movie together. My sister was sitting in between my dad and me on the sofa. A little bit into the movie, while we were eating some small snacks, he randomly put his hand on my sister's thigh and said some stupid shoot, along the lines of, "See that jiggle? You need to start watching what you eat, sweetheart." I wanted to throw something at him. I was so unbelievably mad. It's one thing for him to say shoot like that to me, a grown adult who is used to his comments and jabs and has formed somewhat of a force field against them in all the years he's done this to me. But to my little sister, a 10-year-old girl, my little sister didn't say anything, but I could see by the look on her face that she felt awful and uncomfortable. It made me wonder if he has said things like this to her in my absence. I know that feeling all too well. And it's 10 times worse when you're a little kid with little to no concept of weight and fatness and diet culture. Some of my core childhood memories are his weight-related comments to me. All I could think was, how dare he say that to her? How dare he try to plant these insecurities in her at such a young age? How dare he do to her what he did to me? I waited until later when we were alone, and my little sister was upstairs in her room, and I just blew up at my dad, called him a jerk and a piece of shoot for his little comment to my sister. Told him he should be ashamed of himself for trying to destroy my sister's self-esteem and self-worth the way he destroyed mine. I told him that the only reason I haven't completely cut him off is because of my little sister. But now I will not hesitate to cut him off, and instead resort to spending time with my sister outside of his home, without seeing him ever. He called me disrespectful, a disgrace, a poor excuse for a daughter who dares to speak to her father in this way, etc., etc., etc. But I was too angry to care at that moment. I just left to go back to my own apartment. It's been a day and a half. I've been bombarded with messages from my mother, aunts and cousins, etc., all telling me that Dad informed them of what happened and that I should really apologize for how awful I was. I'd appreciate outside opinions. Did I overreact? Was my reaction warranted or over the top? Was there a better way to address it, and am I the idiot here? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Please tell me you're not actually considering to apologize. Your father doesn't deserve it. I'd cut off contact with him. He's being a lousy father, and it sounds like your family is being unreasonable. I'd tell them about what he said to you. If they don't believe or take your father's side anyway, cut off contact with them too. But don't leave your sister behind. I'd hate for something to happen to her, knowing how your father reacts. Not the jerk, NTA. Do yourself a favor and give your daddy the finger. Comment 2. Not the jerk. She would have to be skin and bones for her thigh not to jiggle, because her jerk father is shaking it. She's going to be thinking about that all the time. Walking around school, wondering who else thinks her thighs jiggle too much. Being uncomfortable in her own home. Second-guessing every bite. And she's not even a teenager yet. Now for the update. Hey everyone! It's been 2 weeks since I last posted about the incident with my dad, fat-shaming my little sister, and the confrontation that followed. I've got an update for you all, and let me tell you, it's been a rough ride. After I stormed out of my dad's house, I was pretty shaken up. I couldn't stop thinking about my sister and how she might be feeling. I remember how his words used to cut me deep when I was her age, and I couldn't bear the thought of her going through the same thing. So, I did what I thought was best. I reached out to her directly. We started having secret ice cream dates, just the two of us, away from our parents' watchful eyes. It was during these little outings that she opened up to me about how Dad's comments were really affecting her. Turns out, this wasn't the first time he'd made remarks about her weight. She told me about several instances that I wasn't aware of, and each story was like a punch in the gut. I felt guilty for not being there to protect her, but I promised her that I'd always be there for her from now on. Meanwhile, the family pressure was mounting. My mom kept calling, trying to mediate between me and my dad. She's always been the peacemaker, but this time I wasn't ready to back down. I told her that unless Dad was willing to apologize to my sister and me, I wasn't interested in talking. Then, out of the blue, my dad actually called me. I was shocked, to say the least. He's not the type to apologize or admit he's wrong, but this time, he sounded different. He said he'd been doing some thinking and realized that he might have been projecting his own insecurities onto us. I was floored. This was the man who had never once shown any sign of self-reflection. We agreed to meet up, just the two of us, to talk things through. It was awkward at first, but as we talked, I could see that he was genuinely trying to understand the impact of his words. He even teared up when I told him about the secret ice cream dates and what my sister had shared with me. But here's the twist. During our conversation, he revealed that his own father had been even harsher on him about his weight when he was a kid. It was like a cycle of hurt that had been passed down, and I could see the pain in his eyes. It didn't excuse what he did, but it helped me understand him a bit better. We ended the meeting with a tentative truce. He promised to work on himself and to stop making comments about our weights. I was cautiously optimistic, but I knew it wouldn't be an overnight change. Fast forward to yesterday, and things took a turn for the dramatic. My sister had a school play, and both my parents were there. I was nervous about how it would go, but I didn't want to miss my sister's big moment. Halfway through the play, my sister forgot her lines. It was a tense moment, and I could see her starting to panic. Then, from the audience, my dad did something I never expected. He started clapping and cheering her on, shouting words of encouragement. It was enough to snap her out of it, and she finished her performance with a big smile on her face. After the play, she ran straight into his arms, and I saw him whisper something in her ear. Later, she told me he'd said he was proud of her, no matter what. It was a bittersweet moment for me. I was happy to see them bonding, but it also reminded me of all the years of hurt between my dad and me. I'm not sure if we'll ever have a relationship like that, but seeing him make an effort with my sister gives me a glimmer of hope. I made a red garnet necklace for my niece's 18th birthday, and my sister got so mad she bought new cars for the twins. My 34-year-old niece just turned 18, and there was a big family get-together. I have no kids of my own and love my nieces, so I wanted to give her something personal. I'm a semi-professional gem cutter. It's mostly a hobby, but I also facet and sell to local jewelers when time allows. I made a red garnet as a gift for her, and then recruited a jeweler and friend I often work with to make a simple but beautiful rose gold pendant and chain for it. The necklace was an instant hit. She absolutely loved it and started to cry and hugged me over and over. Everyone came over to look at it, and I was not a little proud of my work. Her younger sisters, 15-year-old twins, were especially up in arms over it, and now I've decided to do something similar for them when they turn 18. Yesterday, my sister called me and was angry and said I shouldn't have given her daughter such an expensive gift. She and my niece had an appraisal done on the necklace for insurance. This was completely unnecessary since 1. Insurance does not require a third party, and I could have told them the value, and 2. I'd already given them information on how to insure it. Rules can be a bit weird if it's stored in her parents' house. The appraisal was almost spot on, at my country's equivalent of just short of $4,000. My friend estimated he could get $4,000 to $4,500 if it was a custom job for a normal customer. I didn't spend anything near that making it. Uncut gems aren't necessarily that expensive. It all depends on size, color, treatment, origin, etc. The rest is just the time and effort put into it. I didn't even pay my friend except for materials, a few lunches, and for letting him use it as a showpiece for a few months before I gave it to my niece. My niece had apparently worn it non-stop since I gave it to her, including to a few parties and other events prior to the appraisal. My sister said it was inappropriate to give her something that expensive. I agreed that wearing it to the club wasn't the best idea, but but I really couldn't see what the problem was, as my niece is responsible. I called my niece after that, and yes, she'd worn it to a party, but now she would take better care of it and only wear it on occasion. We talked for a while, and it didn't really sound like the big deal her mother had made it out to be. So I called my sister again today and prodded some more. It came out that when they found out its value, she and my brother-in-law felt that my gift overshadowed theirs and those from the rest of the family. She got other nice gifts as well, including a used car and a racetrack experience. She likes cars. I explained that much of the value comes from the time put into it. She kind of understood, but was still mad at me and firm in her position that I shouldn't have given it to her. I really don't think I did anything wrong, and I'm a bit bummed out here. Am I the idiot? Not sure if I'm allowed to throw in an extra question, but would I be the idiot if I did the same for the twins? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your sister is looking at this from a materialistic perspective. It wouldn't cost $4,000 to replace. You made it, which makes it priceless and irreplaceable if you were suddenly gone tomorrow. Sure, your niece could probably pay someone $4,000 to make a replica, but it wouldn't have the same sentimental attachment. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Your sister should be glad you're such a good uncle. You did an amazing thing. Your sister will get over it. Just let her know it had nothing to do with her or Bill. And she needs to relax. Absolutely do the same thing for the twins. Now for the update. Hey Reddit. It's been 2 weeks since I posted about the drama surrounding the garnet necklace I made for my niece's 18th birthday. You won't believe the steamy pot of family drama that's been brewing since then. First off, let me fill you in on some backstory that I didn't mention before. My sister has always been a bit competitive with me, even though I've never seen it as a competition. She's the type to one-up everyone at family gatherings, whether it's with her cooking, her kids' achievements, or the latest expensive gadget they've bought. I've always just done my own thing, focusing on my gem cutting and keeping to myself. Now, onto the juicy updates. After the last call with my sister, things seemed to calm down a bit. My niece, bless her heart, continued to cherish the necklace, wearing it only on special occasions as we'd agreed. But then, at a family dinner last week, everything exploded. My sister arrived with a smug look on her face, and I knew something was up. She announced to the family that she had gotten the twins early birthday presents, brand new cars for each of them. The twins were ecstatic, of course, but the looks on everyone else's faces were a mix of shock and disbelief. It was clear she was trying to outdo my gift to my older niece. The dinner was tense, and I could tell my older niece felt uncomfortable with the attention her sisters were getting. She left early, and I found out later that night that she'd been confronted by the twins. They accused her of showing off with the necklace I gave her and making them look bad. It was a mess, and my niece was heartbroken. A few days after that disaster, my brother-in-law called me. He's always been more level-headed than my sister, but this time he was fuming. He accused me of causing a rift in the family with my extravagant gifts. He said that since I gave such an expensive gift to my older niece, the twins now expected the same or better. He demanded that I make it right by either giving the twins equally valuable gifts or convincing my older niece to give up her necklace. I was stunned. I never intended for my gift to cause such chaos. I tried to reason with him, explaining that the value of the gift was in the craftsmanship and the personal touch, not the price tag. But he wouldn't listen. The next day, my niece called me, crying. She told me that her sisters had stolen the necklace and were planning to sell it to fund a trip to Europe. I was outraged. I told her to call the police, but she was hesitant. She didn't want to escalate things further and cause more drama in the family. But karma has a funny way of righting wrongs. The twins, in their haste and excitement, had bragged about their plan to a friend who, unbeknownst to them, was actually a cousin on their dad's side. The cousin was appalled and immediately told their parents. My sister and brother-in-law were forced to confront the twins, who eventually broke down and returned the necklace to my older niece. The fallout was immediate. My sister, embarrassed by her daughter's actions, has been unusually quiet. The twins are grounded indefinitely, and the family has been walking on eggshells around the whole situation. My older niece has decided to keep the necklace in a safe place from now on, only bringing it out for the most special occasions. Friend owes me money for Taylor Swift tickets, so I sell her ticket to someone else. Oh boy, she's mad. Throwaway account, as my friend occasionally uses Reddit. Last July, I bought 2 tickets to Taylor Swift's Eras tour in London. I spent a lot of time and money getting these tickets. I was at my computer for several hours and spent a little over £300 on 2 tickets to the show. My friend was excited and said she would pay me back the money she owed me, which we agreed she could do over 3 months, as I knew how much we spent was a fair amount. Going by this, my friend should have sent me her final payment in October. I haven't received this yet, and every time I bring it up to her, I'm met with an excuse as to why she can't pay me just yet. I keep giving her the benefit of the doubt, but now, in February, I'm growing frustrated. I feel petty complaining and constantly asking her for the rest of the money, as she has already sent me 2/3 of what she owes me. But the remaining payment is a fair sum that I'm needing soon. I brought it up again to her last week, asking if she was able to send me the money soon, as I'm in the process of moving house, and could really use that extra little bit of money to help me out. However, I was met with a message saying she would pay me back next month, which I have been hearing constantly since October. I told her not to bother, and that I was going to sell the ticket to one of my other friends who wasn't able to get one of her own, and that I would send her back the money she had already paid to me, since the ticket is in my account. Friend was pissed. She began to kick off, telling me it was rude and uncalled for, and that I was a jerk, and that she would get me the money soon. However, I can't rely on her, and the other friend is ready and willing to pay me the full amount, plus willing to look at a hotel and transport and split the costs for that right now. Am I the idiot for telling my friend that I'm going to be selling her Taylor Swift ticket and going to the show with someone else? Update: I called the friend to discuss the matter. She wasn't apologetic and was still telling me I was a jerk for considering selling her ticket, and that it's not her fault she hasn't paid me yet. For everyone asking, she is financially in a place where she can pay me back, as she makes a fair wage each month. We hadn't discussed transportation or accommodation, but she seemed set on me asking my father to drive us, even though I told her over and over he was out of the country that week. I was going to set an ultimatum and tell her she had so many days to pay me back before I sold it. But her response and her refusal to talk to me civilly over the phone just made me double down on my choice. I apologized and told her I was going to be selling the ticket and that she would get back what she paid me already. She was still confrontational, calling me names and saying it was her ticket, even though she hasn't paid me and it's on my account. She has now blocked me on everything and blocked my number. I told the other friend she could buy the ticket, and she has already sent me the money and began to make travel and hotel plans with me. I'm going to send ex-friend her money back and then be done with this whole situation. Thank you all for the lovely comments and advice. Much appreciated. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk at all. It's been 5 months since your last payment. This was not a priority for her to pay because she figured you'd just grin and bear it. She rolled the dice and crapped out. Good for you. Enjoy the show. Comment 2. Not the jerk. You bought these in July and she still hasn't paid you back? You've been more than patient. I hate people who put you in the position of having to nag and beg to be reimbursed. Now for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the Taylor Swift ticket drama. It's been a hectic ride since I last posted, and I've got to say, things have taken some unexpected turns. So, after my friend blocked me on everything, I was ready to wash my hands of the whole mess. I sent her the money she had paid me for the ticket via bank transfer, with a note explaining that I was sorry it had come to this, but I needed to move on. I thought that would be the end of it, but boy was I wrong. A couple of days later, I got a knock on my door. It was her, my ex-friend, standing there looking like she was ready to either scream or cry. I was shocked, to say the least. She had unblocked me and sent a barrage of messages that I hadn't seen yet, apologizing and begging for a chance to explain herself in person. I let her in, not sure what to expect. Turns out, she had been hiding a pretty big secret from everyone. She had been saving up for something special. Something she hadn't wanted to tell anyone about because she was afraid it wouldn't work out. She'd been planning to propose to her long-term boyfriend during the Taylor Swift concert. She had the ring and everything, but she was so scared of things going wrong that she didn't want to jinx it by telling anyone. I was floored. Here I was, thinking she was just being flaky about money, and she had this huge romantic plan in the works. She showed me the ring, and it was clear she had been saving for a long time for it. She explained that she had been so caught up in the proposal plan that she had let her finances get away from her, and she was truly sorry for not paying me back on time. We had a long talk, and it was like the friend I knew before all this mess had come back. She was sincere and regretful, and I could tell she really valued our friendship. I couldn't stay mad at her after seeing how much this all meant to her. In a twist I never saw coming, I offered her the ticket back. I know, after all that drama, but seeing her so vulnerable and knowing how important this was to her, I couldn't help it. She was over the moon and immediately transferred me the remaining money she owed me, plus a little extra for the trouble. My other friend, the one who was ready to buy the ticket, was surprisingly cool about the whole thing. She said she understood and that friendships were more important than concerts. She even joked that she'd find another way to see Taylor Swift, maybe even get better seats. So the plan is back on. My ex-friend, now friend again, and I are going to the concert together. She's back to her old self, excitedly planning the proposal. She's even asked me to help her with some of the details, which I'm thrilled about. It's going to be an amazing night, I can tell. As for the moving house situation, it's all sorted now. The extra money helped, and I'm settling into my new place nicely. It's a fresh start in more ways than one. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.